If you're ever going to be successful, you got to get focused now. Not now, right now. What's going on, guys? It's Uzziah, your success consultant, and I need you to get focused now. There's too many people that have all of these lofty goals and dreams for their life, but they're not focused. And if you're not focused, you're never going to reach your dreams. I got 3 things that I want to give to you, and then after that, I'm out. Number 1, time. Time itself is an illusion. The only time that you have is right now. Here's one thing that I want you to understand. Most people, right? This could be you included. Most people go through life and they're always counting on tomorrow. They treat their time as though they have just infinite amounts of it, right? Isn't that so funny how everybody complains about not having enough time? You know, there's not enough time. There's not enough hours in a day. I got too many things. How do I do it all? Everybody is on the same page that there's not enough hours in a day to get things done. But yet, when you look at the average person's life, they will waste time as though they have all the time in the world. Isn't that so funny? Most people, even when it comes to money, they'll complain about money day and night. Oh, well, money's too tight. Oh, man, you know what? Oh, I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to get by, I'm check to check. We'll complain day and night about not having money, but yet when we get the dollar, we will spend the dollar as though we got all the money in the world. And so I need you to understand that if you're going to be successful, you have to be wise with using God's resources. And one of the most important resources that you will ever have access to in this life is the resource of time. Now, time in and of itself, as I said before, it's an illusion. Why am I saying that time itself is an illusion? Because most people make mental bets around a day that may never come. You may have these goals that you have set up for your life, or you may be inspired and you may look at something and you will say, you know what? I have a dream and I have a goal. I'll get started on it tomorrow. And if you watched my video that I did before this one entitled, Are You the Person That Somebody Would Want to Invest In? If I heard a person say that about something that they themselves were driven about, I'm talking about their passion, their goal. They say that they want to be world class at something, but then the minute they say that, 2 seconds later, they're talking about how they'll get started on it tomorrow. The minute that I would hear that, I would know right off the rip, this is a person I'm never going to invest in. Not with that mentality. Every successful person understands this point. There is no such thing as tomorrow. There really isn't. There's only today, right? So even if you get to the next day, by the time that you get there, when you're there, it's only today. It's only now when you're there. There's no such thing as tomorrow. So for you to have this tomorrow complex where everything is just going to happen tomorrow, when is my life going to improve? Oh, it'll improve tomorrow. When is my finances going to improve? Oh, it'll improve tomorrow. When am I going to get serious about my spiritual walk with God? Oh, I'll start focusing on that tomorrow. If you have this tomorrow complex in your brain, that shows that you're never going to be the person that's intended for success because of the fact that there's no guarantee that you will ever see tomorrow. So if you make bets behind things on days that you may not even live to see, and you use that as a trade-off for the time that's right in front of you right now, like you're alive right now. If you're going to bet on something, bet on right now. Because all you could see is what you're doing right now. You know exactly where you're at right now. You know exactly where you're sitting or standing or doing as you're hearing this right now. So that's all that you can bet on. Tomorrow is just a guessing game because you don't even know what would happen tonight. God forbid you make it to see and live another day, but woe to the person that allocates their life based upon a time that has not yet come, right? The wisdom would tell you can only strongly, safely, securely bet on the things that you can take care of right now, today. Okay? So I want you to get a lot more now focus. Focus on the now because of the fact that time is an illusion. Okay? Second point, you've got to be able to overcome ADD. Okay. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, I don't have ADD. Oh, I don't, all of that stuff is a myth. I don't have that. And, I don't need Adderall and I don't need this medication and that medication. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, the doctor's definition of ADD. I'm talking about the achieving success definition of ADD. So when I was talking to you about time just a second ago, I was telling you it's an illusion because most people have a flawed view on time. Most people complain about their time, but they act as though they have all the time in the world when it comes to their utilization of their time, right? They don't think about how much time they're wasting just watching TV, right? They don't think about how much time that they're wasting just talking on the phone. Not to say that these things cannot be done, but if you don't put a cap on these things, and it spills into the time that you need to get things going and off the ground, you're not a person that deserves to be successful because you're not good at managing time. So time itself becomes an illusion because you feel as though, right, I can get this done here, I can get this done there, and then time passes you by, life passes you by, you're still standing in the exact same place that you were 5 years ago, and you're wondering where the time went. You're wondering where life went because it happened so fast. Time is an illusion. Secondly, when it comes to that overcoming ADD, right? Think about what ADD actually means based upon the textbook definition. Okay? Attention deficit disorder. Now, does this mean that the way that you were born, you have this psychological disorder where you can't pay attention? Absolutely not. If you're watching this video, I know for a fact you can pay attention. The problem is you've been operating in such a way where you're feeding into everyone else's agenda, everyone else's schedule, everyone else's thoughts and conversations that you have not taken enough time to give attention to the things that are directly impacting you. And that's the reason why you're at an attention deficit, right? So let's say right now that you want to write a book. And you know that in order for your life to really get to the next level, you have a deadline of having this book done within the next 2 to 3 months. So you sit down and you start getting on the computer and you're typing and you're typing and you're typing. But you've got Twitter open on one tab. You've got email open on another tab. You got Facebook going. You got your phone right next to you. Anytime the phone rings, it's going off and it's distracting you. Anytime a text message goes off, it's going off and distracting you. You're checking your phone every 2 minutes. Did somebody text me? Oh, well, if they didn't, I don't feel important. You have all of these different distractions that are vying for your attention. And by you taking away the scarce, finite level of attention that you have in your life and putting it into things that in the grand scheme of things are just totally insignificant, that means that when it comes to achieving your goal, you can't achieve your goal of writing that book because your attention is at a deficit. Right? A deficit means you don't have enough, right? You don't have enough attention to bring towards what you got to get done. And isn't that true for so many people today that want to be able to do something great, but their mind is all over the place? 1 minute they got this idea, another minute they have another idea. Their attention has shifted. One minute they're working on this, another minute something else is happening, right? And they're just bouncing back and forth and doing this one day and doing that one day. And it's like they can never move forward. That's your attention being at a deficit. And I would wager to say that if you want to be able to accomplish success and get from point A to point Z, then for you to have something that you want to accomplish that would change a person's life, change your community, right? Something that you want to accomplish as a life goal, but you don't have enough attention to bring to it because you're taking your attention and putting it on a bunch of BS, I would agree and say that that would be very disorderly, right? There's a famous scripture that says, let all things be done decently and in order. So if you have a goal that might take a Herculean effort for you to get off the ground, but you're passionate about it, you're focused, you're driven behind it, this is your life's calling. God has called you to bring this to the world, but your attention is shifted in something else to the point where you don't have enough to get this off the ground. Yes, I would say you're operating in the spirit of ADD, attention deficit disorder. You need more attention to bring to the table. It's where it should not be, and that's totally out of order. So, not going against what's being said in, science and medicine, but I'm telling you the definition as per world-class results. One of the most important things that you're going to have in this life is the gift of attention, okay? Because where your attention goes, your energy will flow. You're only going to bring energy to the things that you are paying attention to. Okay? If you're not paying attention to something, you're not able to devote any energy in that area at that time. And you're in a place in your life right now where you can't afford for your attention to be shifted somewhere else. If you're one bill away from being evicted, can you afford for your attention to be at a deficit? Can you afford for it to be shifted somewhere else? If you're so, in bad shape in your health, where you're one sandwich away from a heart attack, can your attention be at a deficit? Can it be shifted in somewhere else? Because you're one attention shift away from being gone off this earth. If you're one bill away from the lights being cut off, right? From your kid not being able to go to school, shouldn't you have your attention focused on what you need to do? Is it that important to be on Facebook? At that present moment, is it that important to respond to an email? Is it that important to respond to a text? I'm not telling you got to be a hermit, but I'm telling you you're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to sacrifice something good in order to get to great. So you've got to be willing to overcome your attention being at a deficit. Listen, one of your biggest challenges in this life is the over competition of people wanting your attention. Now, in some cases, this is going to be beneficial for you, right? There's going to be resources and tools at your disposal that can grab your attention, that's beneficial for you to digest what's being given to you and use in a productive way to move your life forward, right? So if there's a book that you need to be reading to help move your life forward, right, in a productive way, maybe a professional way, maybe a spiritual way, if you're, reading the Bible or you're doing what you need to do to get yourself together, well, then I would say your attention could be used productively from what's grabbing you in that area, because it becomes a tool to help your development, right? But if you're using it in a wrong way, man, I can only pray for you because there's no way that you're going to have your attention in one place and your success is going to be in another place. You ever heard the saying, People are good at the things that they spend most of their time doing, right? So you're never going to be good at something if you don't really spend a lot of time at it. You're not going to be world class. That's all I got to say about that. The number 3 thing that I would say to you before we cap this video off, and make sure that you please subscribe as always and share this message with a friend. You need to meditate so that way you can train your brain to quiet the voices that are in your head. Okay? Listen to me again. Listen good. You need to start meditating so that way you can train your brain to quiet down the voices that are in your head. Right now, there's too many different voices that are in your head competing for real estate on what you should do. So on one hand, you've got your parents telling you something, right? And it's all well intended. You've got your friends that's telling you something. And your friends are your friends. They're close to you. They're a part of your life. You got people at your job telling you something. You got a boss telling you something, right? You got people, at your church telling you something. You have all of these different arrays of voices, right? You may have a mentor. Your mentor's telling you something. You got a source of wisdom, a source of knowledge, a reference booklet that's telling you something. All of these different voices are spiraling in your head. And some of these are voices that should be listened to. And some of these are voices that should not be listened to. And so what you have to do in your own wisdom is you have to decide very carefully which voices are actually deserving of your attention, and you have to quiet out all of the other voices in your head. The reason why so many people have ideas that they start and they don't finish, or they're one place today, another place tomorrow, is because they're living a life where they're moving according to the narrative of 50 billion people. So each particular day, they're walking in somebody else's narrative. One day, you're doing what your parents told you to do. Another day, you're doing what your friend told you to do. Another day, you're doing what a mentor said. Another day, you're doing what that mentor said and that mentor said. And now you just got a billion trillion mentors, right? So when these things are at odds with one another, which voice wins, right? This becomes a conflict. And I'll tell you one thing that's very special and very important. There will inevitably come times in your life where things will be at odds with one another, whether that be friends and family, whether that be spiritual and family, whether that be professional and family, whether that be professional and friends. You got a dream and your friends are laughing at you. They think you're crazy as hell. Your parents are trying to talk you out of it. There will always be this conflict of voices because opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, right? So what you got to do when that moment persists is you have to already be clear about which voice is the voice of reason, right? Because everybody's going to want to pull you in their direction. Everybody's going to want to have you in this tug of war. So when this situation happens in your life, right, the right and wrong decision will be solely on the basis of which voice you allow to dominate your attention. Okay. Now, if I'm going to be honest with you, I would tell you to choose a voice that's based upon logic, reason, and productivity to advance your life rather than emotions and feel good. Because a lot of people will tell you things that sound good, feel good in the moment, short term, but it can be very dangerous and counterproductive to your overall life in the long term. And your life is actually going to pan out as the result of the voices that you listen to, which were right or wrong. So you'll look back at your life in 5 years' time from now and you'll say, wow, my life was able to advance so much. Thank God I was listening to the right voices. Or your life will backslide, or you may feel like you're on a treadmill, haven't gone anywhere. And it's all because of the voices that were ruling in your brain. You were listening to voices that were not helping your life get ahead, right? And those people are just as well intended as the people that's trying to move you forward. So you've got to use discernment, okay? And I pray that you gain that spirit of discernment so that way you can understand what's necessary for you to move forward. But what I would advise you to do, coming from my own personal voice, is whatever is special to your life, to move you forward, to operate in your calling in this short amount of time that we have in this life, get focused in whatever that is. Because there's a million different voices competing for your attention. There's a million different distractions. And if you give ear to all of those different voices that will resonate with you and be in your head, you're never going to get to the path that you want to get to. I can guarantee you that. All right? It's a straight path to get to where you want to get. All right? Straight is the way. Broad is the ways of destruction. All right? So, leave me a comment. I want you to tell me what your thoughts are on this video. As you reflect upon, what's important for you in your life, as you reflect upon what you need to really internalize to take yourself forward. Maybe you're not able to move ahead in life because of the fact that there's too many voices playing in your head, and you find yourself being indiscriminate of all of the voices. So there's a million different voices. You let all the voices have the same weight. Recipe for disaster. Telling you that right now. Recipe for disaster. If your family, your friends, spiritual life, professional life, the media, strangers, right, co-workers, all these just random people, right, this assortment of people, if they all have the same weight in your mind, that's a recipe for a miserable life. You got to start weighing people's voices. And one of the ways that I would recommend that you weigh it is who's actually producing a life that you want to aspire after, right? If you're listening to feedback from someone and you look at their life and you say, you know what, I hear what they're saying, but I don't want the results that they have, then that should begin to subconsciously alter the weight of their voice in your mind. That's what a wise person would do. Okay, so I want you to leave me a comment just reflecting upon this video. What does this video mean for you? In talking about time being an illusion, overcoming ADD in the professional sense, meditating to train the voices that are in your head, bring your brain to a certain level of stillness, okay? We're like a monkey in a cage in just this information-driven world, all right? Always something, right? We're always plugged in. How can you unplug and really focus on the voices that matter? Leave me a comment. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Please be your brother's keeper and share this message with the world. And I thank you for your time, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.